Okay. Oh, I guess that would help if I switched over. I got it open here. I do have it open. All right. So this is our session 0 for Into the Abyss, Underspire, Labyrinth. We talked about the initial hook at the epilogue of the last one. So basically, you guys are being sent here to find out about the Blood Reavers and what kind of slave organization they may have here. So, but before we dive into the actual Underspire Labyrinth itself, I want to go over a few basically session 0 topics. Social contract, it's the same as it was before. I'm not going to go through it with any kind of detail. Just the big thing that I want to reemphasize to everybody is play your character. We're still going to do the combat rules where I try to remember to give you guys 1 minute to strategize before every round. But when it's someone else's turn, let them play their tune. Try not to. I know it's help is all it is, but we need to let the players play their characters and learn from their mistakes. Let's see what else do I want to really talk about.
I heard Rand added to that into their every statement you just made.
It was unspoken.
You're not the only one, Rand, but I think we all know you're the worst one at that. So yeah,
there we go. I'm the worst for sure.
So helpful.
Okay. In this arc, I'm going to institute the sidekicks like we did in the last session. I think the last arc, I tried too hard to wait for most of the regular players. And there was the last session was only 10 sessions, and I think it went over a year. So I'm going to start changes where I've got a minimum character of 3. If we have 3, then we're going to add in sidekicks to kind of balance out the party. Does anybody have an issue with that?
So the minimum party size is 3 actual living players. Is that what you're saying?
Correct. And then we'll fill the rest of the party up with sidekicks. I still want to go for an average party size of 5. There may be times where we have 6, like for a boss battle or something like that. But we want to try to keep it to 5.
Okay.
Anyone have an issue with that?
Nope.
Okay. This is being recorded, so you'll probably hear it later, but I got to add the Anthony rule. No stealing from other players. That's in the social contract. I don't care unless both parties agree ahead of time that you're going to kind of role play this. That's fine, but no stealing from other players. Okay. What else here? No PvP. Right. So that includes stealing. That includes deceiving, persuading, whatever. None of that between characters. Okay. You guys need to work together. So if there's a lot of, I want to do this, I want to do that, we have to come to agreement and everybody move in the same direction. I'm not saying you can't never split the party, but as a general whole, we need to work together and stay together. Okay. Real quick on metagaming, don't do it. I hate it. As you guys know, you played me long enough. I'm going to tweak some of the bad guys and monsters. They're not going to be like the guys in the Monster Manual. Plus, is the 4E module. So there was a lot of tweaking that happened in this one. Just play your character. Play like what your character would know. I think that's pretty much the highlight of it. Everything else, just read through it, guys. Nothing has changed since last time, but if you see something in there you don't agree with, please let me know in the social contract. Okay? And make sure it's in here before I say that. It should be under Master Index of Handouts. Yep, right at the top. Social contract. You guys got it?
Yep.
Okay.
Peace.
All right. So let me first give you the preface for Underspire Labyrinth before you guys start talking about, well, technically for Rand start covering his characters. And on that subject, you guys don't have to port your characters over from Arc 1 if you didn't enjoy it, you didn't like it. I am open to you guys starting a new character. Don't have to talk about that now, but I'm just saying I'm not tied. You don't have to be tied to that character if you just didn't like playing it. Okay? Okay, so let's talk about Underspire Labyrinth. This was in the introduction on the Discord channel, but I thought it's important I go ahead and cover this with everybody in session 0. So introduction. Beneath the stormy peaks of the Furward Mountains lies the Underspire Labyrinth, an ancient ruined Minotaur city. For over 2 decades, an order of wizards called the Mage of Sarun has control of the labyrinth's upper levels, creating a relatively safe haven called the Seven-Pillared Hall. Here, underground denizens come to trade with the mages and with a small number of surface dwellers who are in the know. Humans, halflings, dwarves, duergar, goblins, orcs, troglodytes, and others come to the hall to barter in their watchful eyes of the mages of Sarun and their towering minotaur constructs. The mages have one rule in the seven-pillared hall: maintain order. Visitors who leave the safety of the hall and venture into the labyrinth do so at their own risk. For in the darkness of the labyrinth, all bets are off, and the truce enforced within the hall has no bearing. So Underspire Labyrinth was a 4E Dungeons & Dragons game. It was designed for characters 4th through 6th. My intent was to have you guys level to 4th really quick, but I ended up leveling you guys up to 4th in the last session because it proved to be a little bit too hard for 3rd level, in my opinion. I guess you guys probably agree, but so it's going to be a while before you guys level to 5th. I think I already said that, but this is supposed to take you from 4th level to 6th level. Okay?
Okay.
Background. Okay, some more stuff for me to read, so bear with me. Hundreds of years ago, Minotaurs founded the city of Sarun Kel. In the depths below the Furward Mountains, Sarun Kel soon became the center of an oppressive Minotaur kingdom that subjugated neighboring lands. However, 5 centuries ago, a battle for the throne of Sarun Kel erupted into a vicious civil war. Out of anger at the Minotaur's growing devotion to the deity Torog, the demon lord Baphomet cursed them with mindless fury. So this goes back into what, yes, technically Minotaurs are in the monster manual versus Minotaurs are as a player character. So this is kind of the lore behind why those are considered evil, fury-based, so on and so forth. So thus, when one faction was defeated, the survivors took to battling one another until only a few Minotaurs remained on the ruins of the once great city. Over the following centuries, adventurers came to explore the labyrinth's ruins of Sarun Kel, seeking forgotten treasure. Few of them survived. Now, about 25 years ago, these 3 wizards, Saphir, Naomi, and Samazar, came to the mountain, accompanied by retainers. These wizards spent long months in the ruins. Among the magic items they recovered were several command amulets, which allowed them to control the bronze warders, the Minotaur constructs, built in the city's heyday. The wizards used the bronze warders to clear the upper levels of the ruins and establish a stronghold here, now called the Seven-Pillared Hall. In the last 2 decades, the original founders formed the Mages of Sarun and established Seven-Pillared Hall to provide them with a safe access to the denizens of the Underdark. The Mages cleared an ancient subterranean highway carved by the Minotaurs, allowing denizens of the deep to trade with them and select other surface dwellers in the black markets of the hall. Today, dwarves, duergar, drow, and more creatures come to the Seven-Pillared Hall to trade gems, gold, rare ores, and other goods. Under the watchful eyes of the hooded mages and their bronze servitors, an uneasy peace endures in the hall, while perils lurk in the shadows of the labyrinth beyond. Due to the machinations of a renegade mage, the fragile peace of Underspire Labyrinth is in jeopardy. Slavers now operate in the depths of the mountain, and other dangers well up to threaten the Codelands and beyond. Dun dun dun!
Dun, 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 dun.
Okay, so what else are we going to talk about here? We're still going to do weapons and spell training, just like before. I can't remember. I think there was a couple of you guys that never even looked into that and added it to your character sheet. Gary, was that one of you? Did you ever look into that? Or maybe it was Rich.
Yeah, I don't.
I have a habit of not looking at it.
So
I'm not familiar with them reading it now.
yeah. So again, it's under Master Index of Handouts. I think it's under House Rules, if I remember correctly, for weapons and spell training. Let me look. Yeah, if you go under House Rules, there's a section called Weapons and Spell Training. That kind of goes in detail about what you're allowed. That's a customization that I've added to my games. Okay, so I'm not going to go over that in detail. I'll give you guys a chance to kind of read through that. Most of you, with the exception of maybe Rich, should be familiar with it. So, Rich, if you read through, you got questions, reach out to me, okay?
Will do.
Okay. All right. So, I guess at this point, is everybody that was in Arc 1 going to port their characters over to Arc 2? Is that your plan?
Splug's coming. Splug's coming.
All right. So,
Guys,
let me
What
go
are your
on.
characters, guys? If you don't mind me asking. Splug's a goblin rogue. Pisses everyone off. Okay.
He started out as an NPC and became a beloved PC.
A beloved PC. Thank you for adding that.
By everybody except for Bryn.
Bren apparently doesn't like me. But we're going to fix that. We're going to fix that.
I'm taking off, Brian, but thanks a lot. I'll keep tabs on things, and then whenever Arc 3 is ready to take off, I'll talk to
Right.
you about getting back in.
Thanks, Wayne. Enjoyed playing with you, man. Take care.
Yep.
All right,
Good
take care,
luck,
guys.
Wayne.
Shoot, should I be something else then?
Okay,
I
I
was
just
gonna.
poured over Bryn. So I'm
thought
assuming you're going to continue on. Is that right, Rob, with Bryn?
Yeah. Ironically, the thing that we don't and have never had, Rand, is a wizard.
I was just thinking about that too.
The
as a
wizard,
separate-
Harry.
I made a rogue because I talked to Brian and he said we didn't have a rogue.
Yeah. Splug's not that memorable, I guess.
That's funny as hell.
Who?
Oh man, I had it
Oh,
completely
wow.
done too.
Wow. That's just mean.
I thought you were an arcane trickster. Were you not?
No.
That's a rogue, Brian.
I know, but I thought like rogue in a traditional sense.
Oh
Because
my
I don't.
gosh.
Maybe no, it's my fault because you guys didn't have any opportunity to really pick locks and shit.
Yeah.
I just remember Splug would just argue with Bryn and shoot shit.
And I picked all those locks and then I fouled that one lock with my goblin boogers.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you did. Okay. Well, maybe it's the fact you're just an NPC for so long. I'm sorry.
That's funny.
If I had a feeling, it'd be hurt.
Thanks for calling me out, Rand.
If we have time, I could make a different character. And you know what? I actually had started creating a wizard just in case. So they're not my
Play what you want to play, dude.
Yeah.
but I don't want to
Be a wizard, Harry. If you become a wizard, I'm only going to call you Gandalf.
Yeah. Well, I'll
So
figure it
careful
out.
what you name him.
Brian, when do we need to have the character created and everything else? Tonight's kind of the night, right? And then we'll roll the items and everything else like you wanted.
My intent is probably have the first session in 2 or 3 weeks after we have our discussion about how we want to do this 4E conversion thing. Just give me 1 second. I'm trying to make sure I grab everybody. Has everybody been ported over yet? I'm down to N, making sure I don't forget anybody. There's a shit ton of character sheets in here.
Oh, I guess I gotta look for it.
I don't see Splug anywhere.
If you guys
Oh,
scroll up, can you
I'm
see
in.
like all of my notes that I'm sitting there checking out, all the stuff that Brian had us look at?
Almost to Splug. Splug Gary. Okay, is that the furthest in the alphabet of all our characters we got here?
So Gary, you're a rogue. Don or Rob, you're a warlock. Don, you're a fighter, right? Rich, what are you?
Correct.
Cleric.
Cleric. Okay, cool.
Johnny's cleric.
Cleric and a cab driver.
Cab driver.
Cab driving
I got
cleric.
wagon. My brother brought it. It's going to be great. Going to earn some extra money.
Rob, has there been issues with identifying magic items and stuff like that?
Been up until now because at the level that I'm at, once I hit level 4, I have identify as a ritual.
Oh, okay.
I went back to the tome. So
Okay.
I've got, and then I took the invocation for ritual copy.
Okay. Nice.
All right, I put all you guys in the character folder. I'm moving it up back up towards the top.
If you
Gotta
if
really-
you end up deciding wizard, Rand, go full on offense.
I was gonna do more controller, but that's interesting.
Hey, Brian,
I can only see the bio and info tab. I can't see the.
Yeah.
character.
you moved me over as an NPC, I think.
I just didn't give you guys.
He hasn't
I'll
done
give
the
up.
approvals. He hasn't done the
That's fine.
authorizations yet.
I
Just a heads up.
don't have that kind of patience.
Okay, so this is Rob's character.
I've never played a sorcerer, so maybe that would actually be kind of a good compromise between the two, especially if you're back to the tome.
What's
Rob.
the difference between a sorcerer and a wizard?
So wizards are going to have like a spell book and have more rituals and stuff, kind of like what the Pact of the Tome warlock gets. But a sorcerer gets to kind of like be more blasty. So if he's
Yeah,
wanting to
that might be fine. You could pick
Can he cast
you could-
fireball?
you could pick something that like a whatever lineage just does blastification.
Yeah, I really have been wanting to try out that one that gets the cleric and wizard spells. I think that's or sorcerer spells and wizard spell or cleric spells. I think that would be a cool kind of Gish build.
Oh, before you get too deep into it, Rand, I think you already saw, but there's no multi-classing in these arcs.
No, I know. There's no
Okay.
multi-classing. So the sorcerer, there's the celestial sorcerer or whatever, actually gets to choose all of their spells from the cleric or sorcerer list. It's just a single class. Pretty cool.
Okay, so all four of you should now have access to your character sheets. Rand, are you wanting to like import your character sheet in from something? We create you a blank one, a template.
Just create a blank one for now, and I should be able to populate it pretty quick. I'm just gonna after kind of finding out what the party is tonight, that I think that would actually make sense, and it's something I've been kind of curious to try.
If you think in Sorcerer too, one of the other options, I don't know if there are any, but Brian's got some Dale Lands specific subclasses for some things. Like I'm playing a I'm playing a Warlock subclass that doesn't exist in Raw.
Oh, fun! Is that in here? Or is that in the other?
That's here as well. If you look under, I think it's under house rules. Where'd I put it at? Probably under new character creation.
Class templates. You might find you might find a sorcerer template that's different. Yeah, there's the Sorcerer Rathmari Battle Mage. That's an option.
Where are you at?
So go into Master Index of Handouts.
Okay.
And then click on class templates.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
or new character creation. I think it also has a link in there to class templates.
Holy cow! There's a ton of things in here, man. What a Sorcerer Rathmari Battle Mage.
Yeah, I think Wayne tried that one for a little while, but we were still really low at the time, so it was tough for him. That was the first character that he played, but give it a read. You might like that. It's kind of the Warlock. What's the weapon Warlock called?
Hexblade.
Hexblade. It's kind of Hexbladey, but sorcerer.
Interesting.
I don't know, just something to think about. You may not want it, but just give it a read, see if you like it.
I'm trying to figure out where to. Oh, okay, gotcha.
And don't forget, I got Shield Dwarf sub race in this as well. If you want to choose that as a special race.
I saw that. You know what? A Shield Dwarf wizard or sorcerer would just be so fun.
Yeah, that might be fun.
You gonna bring Aaron back?
You and Donnie could hang out.
Almost like an Aaron, but as a sorcerer. Yeah, I mean, cast mage armor and wield a shield in your offhand while shooting spells with your main hand. That's pretty awesome.
Because Don and Rich are both dwarves, right? It could be almost fellowship of the ring, almost.
Nice.
No, Donnie's very inhuman.
Oh, okay.
I mean,
he just sounds like a dwarf.
He's small. He's just extra small.
Sorry.
Nice.
Sorry, I didn't mean to profile your shortness.
He's of the
Brian?
DeVito race. Yes.
Splug's, my character sheet is still completely blank. Like there's nothing in it now.
What?
Oh my god!
Maybe I'll just reboot.
Hold on. Let me look.
No. Close it and reopen it, Gary.
Yeah, that's what I'll
Rob,
do.
this battle mage thing is a total game changer. It's like
I know.
like a blade singer sorcerer.
I know. Like I totally considered playing it, and I actually rolled one up before I decided on Bryn.
Oh my god! I got to read this. I mean,
There we go.
this is my
That's
total gift.
that's totally up your alley, Rand, and
Yeah.
it's not the standard blade singer that you always play. So
I know. I can't do a normal blade singer again. I've just done it too many times.
So don't get too deep into your character creation, Rand. I want to talk about some of these other things here as well.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. All right. So you got the makeup of everybody else. Again, you don't have to make your decision now on what you want to play, but it's not like you're maybe leaning towards that. It's from a Rashomon campaign guide. It's a third party source.
Against that, Brian, is it okay to choose that sorcerer battle mage or
That's why I got it in here.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So let's go down to a few tweaks that I do here in this module. No multi-classing. Already talked about that. I'm planning on reducing the number of meaningless encounters / rooms / areas in the dungeon portion of this one. It's one thing I discovered playing the first arc, and I think you guys all agree it was just way too much. I mean, there was not enough chances for you guys to really regroup. I had to kind of help shoehorn in like some short rests and all that stuff. So before we dive into this, I'm gonna go back through some of these rooms, dungeons, and I'm probably going to make a bunch of empty rooms or just totally block off a whole section of it to kind of knock down on the meaningless drone of encounter after encounter after encounter. I'm assuming you guys are okay with that. Anyone disagree?
I disagree. I love rooms that don't drive the story, that just beat us up. I think it's awesome.
It's all about XP, man. Getting that stuff, getting that loot.
You say that, Brian, because that's totally what those rooms are about.
I know it is.
Yep.
Yeah, I hadn't thought of it from that perspective, but that's exactly what they're about. They're not useless. They're just about XP, so that the characters can get high enough level to actually end up doing the boss. I never thought of that.
And so, with that being said, I'm not tracking XP in this. You guys are going to level up at appropriate places where it. My conversion of 1st through 30 for 4th level to 1 through 20 for 5th edition. Do my best at trying to figure out where those leveling should happen, and that's obviously with a grain of salt, just like last session, our last arc. And I'm letting you guys go to 4 when that wasn't the plan, but no XP tracking. It's going to be whenever it's time. I'll tell you guys you can level up.
Sweet.
Okay. 3rd bullet point. Now I've always shouldn't say pushed. Yeah, I guess it is the right word. I pushed the mana pool on you guys. But I'm going to take a step back with that and tell you guys, if you don't want to use a mana pool, you want to go back to traditional spell slots. I'm okay with that. With that being said, I'm still going to continue to mana pool for bad guys, enemies, NPCs, because it just makes my job easier to track stuff. But from your standpoint, if you'd rather go back to traditional tracking of spell slots and everything, I'm okay with that. So you don't have to answer that now. I'm just putting that out there that for those that are going to play a caster or a half caster, if you'd rather go back to the traditional method, I'm okay with that.
Well, it really, at this point, it really only affects the cleric and potentially Rand's character if he's going sorcerer. Because my warlock uses spell slots anyway.
Right. Okay.
Good with that, with everyone, Brian. I've gotten so used to the mana points by this point that I'm okay with it.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just putting it out there that if you want to go back to traditional for an arc or a play test or whatever, I'm okay with that. I'm not going to enforce my mana pool on anybody anymore. Okay. All right. We talked about this a little bit last session. Oh, I keep saying session. Last arc. In 4E, there was these things called healing surges. If you look in the session 0 agenda notes, the 4th bullet point shows you a link to how I envision that working in this arc. I only put this in here because of the design in 4E of the dungeon slog. Having an opportunity to do this in combat, not out of combat, only in combat. So this is going to be out there with an asterisk next to it. If I feel like I've done a good job of tweaking it down so it's not a slog, then I may not allow this. But right now I'm saying this is an option if you guys agree with it. If somebody here absolutely hates it, thinks it's stupid, that's fine. We can throw it out and may play test at a later time if and when it seems valid. We didn't even really use it that often in the last arc, as I recall.
I think that's because we weren't used to it, though, Brian. I think it's because we weren't used to using it.
And I think I also introduced it like halfway through the arc as well. So I'd like to start off saying we're going to use it, play test it, and you guys give me some feedback, and then kind of take it from there. Okay. Next bullet point, dropping to 0 HP effects. So I think that is in the house rules here. This should have the same one that was in the last one. Let me see if I still have it in there.
Are you doing exhaustion levels at 0 HP now?
That's another bullet point we're going to talk about. So right now, whenever you revive from 0 hit points, you must make a roll a DC 10 con save. And on a fail, you suffer 1 level of exhaustion. That's what I did in the last arc. Is everyone still okay with that?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. And I tweaked that. We originally
still okay with that. Like some of us were
Until I get
okay
one.
with that.
I think Kev had a problem with it, to be honest with you.
Well, it's kept up twice that fight.
I know it. But I did change it. I mean, before it was automatic. When you come back, you had a level exhaustion. Now you got to roll DC 10 con save. So if
My
you fail
personal
that,
thoughts on the subject are that going down, being unconscious, D&D doesn't dropping to 0 hit points doesn't equate directly with health.
Yep.
I just think that that getting a level of exhaustion because you drop to 0 hit points is a little bit over the top in my mind. But you switch it up to a DC, so it's really a less than 50% chance for anybody that's got a Constitution modifier. So
Right.
Mhm.
it's a good compromise, I think.
All right, so we'll move forward with that. Let's see here. Let's go ahead and jump down to, since it's kind of tied to this, the one D&D playtest thing they talked about. If you scroll down any one D&D features to incorporate, look at exhaustion playtest. If you click on that, this is how, at least when I copied over from one D&D, I don't know if it's changed yet or not, of how they are handling exhaustion and what that means. So I'll give you guys a chance to read through that if you haven't already, and then give me some feedback whether you like this, hate it, want to try it out, or stick with what we've got.
Weird. Oh, what the heck?
Garrett, are you reading this, or are you doing something with your character sheet?
Well, I can't get anything to open again.
An exhaustion. So are you in house rules, or where are you at? New master index of
It
handouts?
kicked me out. I can't open anything right now.
Right.
Holy
and this
shit,
is
There
all-
it
I already
goes.
sent you
Okay,
the-
there, that
the one, right?
opened. And then I open it up. It says this site can't be reached.
You might have to
Reload.
reconnect, Gary.
What's that?
You might just have to like exit out and reconnect or something. I've had to do that a couple times.
Yeah, I just did that. It's weird.
Close
But I'll do
Chrome.
it again.
Close Chrome completely.
Yeah. Well, I was watching internet porn on the other window, so that's
Yeah.
probably
Oh, that makes sense.
right.
It's easy to do.
You gave
Midget clown porn. It always
you
screws
gave-
it up.
you gave roll 20 smallpox.
The pox.
So glad I record these.
Oh, sorry, I forget that. Do.
Oh, what's interesting about those sorcerers, Brian, is they don't get an armor bonus, do they? They don't get any armor proficiency like a bladesinger gets light armor or whatever. think it's-
I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't remember. It's been so
If
long.
I
since I've done
remember,
that.
they get armor like a barbarian or a monk does.
Okay.
Jeez.
Oh, unarmored?
Same shit. I can't open anything.
I'll have to
Yeah,
check it out.
that's your issue, Gary. Yours.
I know.
Stop telling
Still
us
doesn't
about it.
make me happy.
Sort it
Well,
out. Your issue.
Well, I need you to read through this exhaustion thing and get your feedback. So let me do this. Let me at least copy this and paste it in Discord for you, Gary.
Sure.
Gary, if that
Yeah,
is
you're
your
totally
real name.
right.
It is. You've known me the longest, you prick. How can you doubt who I am?
All right, this is in Underspire Labyrinth, Gary. That
Okay.
part of Discord.
Okay, I just went into it. There we go.
Anyone else read through it? Got questions, comments, complaints?
Which one, Brian? The
The exhaustion playtest?
Exhaustion playtest. Okay.
Since Brian, if I get this right, it basically means however many levels of exhaustion is a minus modifier to your roll 20 rolls.
Pretty much, yeah.
But 10 kills you instead of 5 killing you or whatever it was. Right?
Yeah, 10 is death.
I liked it. I mean, you can scroll up and see what I posted about it, but I thought it was actually better than what we've
Can
done.
we negotiate that after a long rest you get 2 levels of exhaustion back?
Well, I would ask, what are the other ways to get rid of exhaustion? Are the other
Oh.
standard ways like
Greater restoration.
greater restoration? Because I think if you're now spreading the 6-point scale into a 10-point scale, you might want lesser restoration to be able to do it once per day to get rid of 1 point of exhaustion. Not allow it to be spam cast.
Not allowed to be what cast?
Not allow it to be spam cast, like one person spam casting 6 casts of lesser restoration, though that would pretty much destroy your mana pool. So there would be repercussions for that in order to get it out. But I think if you're going to leave it, if you're going to make it on a scale of 10 instead of 6, then you've got to have another way to get rid of another way to get rid of exhaustion. Maybe a greater restoration does 2 or 3 points of exhaustion, and a lesser does 1. I don't know.
You make note of that.
Just something to think
Because,
about.
because the flip side of that is I'm giving you a
Favor that.
bigger range, but now you're making it easier to not even accumulate any. You know what I'm saying? If I make it easier to get rid of it, then you're probably never going to get, 2 or 3 levels. Right?
Well, unless we go down 3 times in a fight, and we're all of a sudden at 3. No, I'll tell you right now, I'm not going to show up for the next night if I'm at 3 levels of exhaustion. Under the old system.
We've had this discussion before. I mean,
Yep.
I've been very, very, very vocal about the fact that I feel like lesser restoration should restore 1 level of exhaustion. I like Rob's caveat once per day. I think that really does set a limit on it, especially if there's 10 levels. So if someone accumulated 4 levels of exhaustion in a day, a cast of lesser restoration on them would only get rid of 1 of them, keeping their penalty as a -3 instead of -4. With the new rules, I think that to just get 1 less -1 penalty to your skill checks and ability like attack rolls, I think that's totally a level 2 spell. I think that's crazy that'd be a level 5 spell that we get at level 9. To take 1 level off of -1 to attack and saves or skills.
Yeah, I'm writing this down. Right now I'm saying I'm open to it, but let me do some more noodling of it so I don't feel pressured with the peer pressure.
I think that spam casting it should be allowed for the reason that Rob said you'd run out of mana. However, I think that Rob's caveat of only 1 per day per character with lesser restoration really kind of seals the deal, as far as that might be the piece we were missing to kind of bridge that gap between what I've always thought.
And right now that's where my, thinking is as well. So lesser restoration can remove 1 level of exhaustion once per day per person. So you can still cast it more than once per day, but it has to be on a different person. Is that basically what we're saying?
Like only one, your character can only benefit from it 1 time.
Right, but if I'm saying 3 of your party members all suffering from it, I can cast it once on each of you, and that's it. I can't cast it on you again for that day. Or are you saying I can only cast it once per day?
No.
Regardless.
You can only cast it it's less about the casting and more about the person that's being casted on.
Receiving it, right.
You can only receive it once per day.
Right. So if you have 3 levels of exhaustion, you can only get 1 lesser restoration cast on you to remove 1 level. And then if you take a long rest, you can lose another one. But yeah,
I'm with you. My question was more about the caster.
Restoration, they both can't cast on you to remove 2 levels of exhaustion.
Right. Yeah, so if you have 2 clerics, I'm
I
with
like that caveat too.
Okay. Well, right now I'm leaning
2
towards
clerics
that.
you could do 2 clerics and a ranger and a druid, and they could all have it and just completely wipe it out. But if you can only do it once a day, if it can only occur on you once a day, regardless of how many casters you are, then they can choose who's going to use the spell slot for it.
Yep.
Right.
I think it's cool.
All right. So right now I'm leaning that way. I don't want to make a final decision until I really noodle on it, but it's probably going to happen. Okay. All right. So that means everyone's cool with this new exhaustion condition per 1 D&D?
Yeah.
I like it better.
Anyone oppose?
Yeah.
I'm all for it until I get it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I think if you fall in combat, oftentimes, you get healed, you come back, and poof, you're down again. That's happened to me several times.
Okay. All right. So we jumped all around here. Let's the companion limitation. I've had feedback from all you guys. I'm not going to do this. You can have as many as a spell asks for. I'm not going to limit this.
What?
So the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7th bullet point, companion limitation to only 1 companion. Same for conjuring spells.
And Brian, I apologize. I know I saw it before, but where are we at? Not under the master index, right?
Session 0, agenda and notes. That's all the bullet points.
Got it.
And then from there, we'll jump into the other house rules, master index, all that stuff. Okay. So I'm scratching.
And while the other rule is the Rand rule, this is the Rob rule.
Which one?
The companions rule.
Oh, yeah. This is the Rob rule.
Yeah, I think it started with you though, Rand. Before Rob took advantage of it. Shouldn't say take
Um,
advantage of it. Before Rob used it. That's
Well,
unfair to say that.
truthfully, I think that just the general disdain of how much of a slog combat becomes when we start summoning lots of things has really made our players not do it too often, I'd say.
Yeah, you haven't played with me recently.
Oh, never mind. All right, that's the Rob rule then. I haven't seen it.
But go ahead, keep spamming it. And if I you start hearing or smelling smoke, that's just my ears burning. It's all right. Okay.
I mean, I rebuilt Bryn so that she doesn't have so there's no more blob.
And I'm saying it jokingly, Rob. Really, honestly. I mean, I've realized now that that's just a pet peeve of mine. I gotta get over it. No one else had an issue with it other than me, so I just need to let it go. So I'm fine with it.
Well, I mean, so when I cast animate objects, depending on the DM, it's either, even if I do 10 tiny objects, it's either one roll just to see if it hits or not, just to speed up combat. Is
I think that was
something
me. I think I split it into two for you last time you used that on me.
I think so. And you know what? I posted that, as long as the person who's doing it is all prepared and has everything laid out to where it's a click of a button to do the things, and we're not sitting there like looking up stats for 30 minutes, and it's beneficial to all the other players and doesn't slow everything down.
Okay. All right. Anyway, that's out. I'm not going to limit that. Okay. Next bullet point, talk about harvesting tools. This is a reminder. I've had harvesting tools in the house rules for all of Arc 1. I think it's even in Monster Hunters. So you can take this in place of some other tool proficiency you have if you want it. This is my homebrew attempt to give you guys a chance to actually loot something other than a gold coin from a wolf or a rabbit or something that doesn't carry money. Basically to try to salvage a pelt or something valuable or maybe something magical you can make out of it. So that's what the harvesting tools are, and that's covered under house rules.
I like it.
Okay.
I always forget.
Okay. Any one D&D features to incorporate? We talk about the exhaustion plays. That's a yes. We'll go ahead and call this one the Rand rule. The grappled condition playtest. This was out of one D&D. So
I think it just complicates something that's pretty easy. That's my stance on it.
anyone else? I'll you guys read through it. There's no point. I don't want to say anything because I don't want to, have my opinion be all.
The big
Answer.
thing here, and I don't want to pollute it either, but at the same time, like the only difference that I can see seems to be when you're physically moving an enemy. At that point in time, the person that's doing the moving, the grappler that's doing the moving, has advantage or has attacks against them by other people, like around other enemies around them, made with advantage, along with disadvantage on dex saves.
You said that's a part you have a problem with?
No, that's just the added thing. It's just one more thing to kind of try to remember. Where it's otherwise it's the same. You move at half speed when you're grappling something and you're dragging it, right?
Yep.
But they also changed the escape chance from what I thought was pretty simple. You either roll acrobatics or athletics, whatever you're better at, to try to escape a contested athletics check. That seems to me, in my head, I know you guys think sometimes grappling is crazy, but in my head, it's very, very simple. An athletics check versus either an acrobatics or an athletics check, period. That's it. Bottom line, it's done. This one then turns it into a dexterity or strength saving throw against the grapple. I'm okay with it. I just wonder why. And then it creates this escape DC that I don't know. It's not explained at all in these rules, that's ultimately why I poo-pooed it. I think that it talks about the grapple's escape DC. But how is that set? When is it set up? Is it the setup that original grapple, took place? So instead of this, quick roll off every round to see if they escape, now we have to try to figure out what the DC is that was
That's a good point. Why is that not in there?
It's not. That's the reason I ultimately said this thing's just not well thought out. They're trying to make something that's not complicated more complicated.
There's something under a slowed condition.
No, the slowed condition is just from moving. You're not slowed when you move. You're like this whole thing just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Like a grappler, holding on to somebody who's dragging them moves at half speed. Well, that makes sense. They're fighting against the guy, right? But to incorporate a slowed condition onto it, I guess I'm just kind of confused. But
I think they added a slowed condition for more than just grappled. I can't remember where else it's used at, but I think slowed actually was something that was in 4th edition, and they're trying to bring that back into 5th edition. There's other things that cause a slowed condition.
Well, check out what slowed condition does. The movement speed is the exact same as I just said, half movement. If you spend an extra foot for every foot you move. So that part stays the exact same. The only thing is that if you're moving, and this is where it gets all convoluted, if I'm sitting there holding someone in a grapple, none of the slowed condition takes effect, according to these rules. It's only if I start dragging them that suddenly I experience a slowed condition that round. And I just think it's way too complicated for something that people already think is kind of complicated when it's not.
Well, that's why we're talking about it. I'm not pushing it. I'm just giving you guys a chance to kind of say yes, no, maybe, play test it, whatever.
I'm good with either one. I think that we're going to get to it and go, what the hell's the escape DC again?
Well, it's going to be like that with anything new, Rand.
Oh, I know. But the problem is we don't have that written down. It's just not here. It mentions it, but doesn't say how it's established.
Well, if that's the hang up, I'll do more research on how that escape DC is established.
That's the main one for me. I don't know if it's established at the original grapple check. So like if I rolled a 29 versus their 13, right? Is their escape DC suddenly 29 and then they have no chance of escaping? Because I'm totally cool with that. That sounds very in favor of the grappler. But I'm serious. It doesn't. I don't think it makes sense though. I think that the way Pathfinder kind of handles it, in the way that it's handled just in normal D&D 5e, is just simpler. Every round, you have this opportunity to try to break free, and I think that that's cool.
Okay, what the rest of your group? Do you guys care?
Don't care.
Enough about grappling to really know.
No.
All right. So for right now, I'm going to say no to that. We'll leave that out. Slowed condition, unless that comes up somewhere else, I'm not going to worry about that either.
I mean, that makes sense. Anytime you're slowed, that makes sense to have those slowed condition things.
Right, but the slowed condition, I think, is something that's going to come out in 1D&D. There's nothing else in 5e that specifies slowed as a condition. So there's no point me bringing in slowed condition if we're not going to do the grappled condition. You know what I'm saying? That's the only place that references slowed condition.
Yeah, I don't even think if a wizard casts a slow spell on something, I don't think
No, that's totally different. That's totally different. Yeah. Okay. All right, moving on. Resistance as a reaction. Thoughts? Yes, no. That's in 1D&D. They've changed resistance to a reaction. I mean, on one side, it allows you to cast it at least once a turn instead of using a bonus action or action. I forget which one it is.
It's
Bonus
normally
action.
an action to cast resistance as a cantrip, right? I thought it was a cantrip and it takes an action.
Oh, let me look it up real quick.
Nobody does it because it's stupid. So I think they were trying to make it better.
Yeah, it's an action.
So,
So no one's going to cast that in any kind of like, no, I shouldn't say no one.
They're just not.
Typically, they're not going to cast that in a combat, but I can't think of an instance where you are going to cast that
Ever.
during combat.
Right.
I think the whole thing behind making both these reactions is that you don't create the spam. I'm just going to always cast guidance on everybody or this person or that person or whatever. Or actually requires you to actually do it as a reaction. So you're somewhat limited from spamming it, was my understanding.
Guidance as a reaction seems opposite to what you just said to me. I feel like adding guidance as a reaction makes it more spammable. Rob, what do you think?
Adding guidance as a reaction makes that spell so overpowered you wouldn't even believe it.
Agreed.
Okay, so sounds like we're
Now,
anyone
get a
else?
bonus action.
Guidance is
Get a bonus
guidance is
action.
guidance is overpowered well, no, it's not really. Guidance is good for ability checks because how often do you do an ability check in the middle of a combat? You don't, right? Very rarely do you try to do a perception check in the middle of a combat. And you wouldn't be able to do it, and you probably wouldn't be able to do it anyway because it takes an action to cast. That's why there's 3 spells in that grouping, right? Resistance, guidance, and then there's another one that's
the blade
another one.
The blade ward.
Yeah, those 3 are all basically the same spell, but they do slightly different things. Guidance is the thing that does it as an ability check. There's another one that you can use in a save, and there's another one you can use in an attack, and they're all sort of the same family. Guidance is exactly where it should be, I think.
True Strike, Blade Ward,
Resistance. Right.
The 3 wizard cantrips that get no play whatsoever are Resistance, True Strike, and Blade Ward. And that's because they take your action to cast. Maybe on a Blade Singer, you might cast Blade Ward as your cantrip when you're doing an attack. Just so that you get, attacks against you have disadvantage while you still got to do at least half of your attack. But every other class, nobody else is gonna use those. So I see why they put it in there. Brian, it's up to you, but absorb elements, which is almost a given for everybody, just like shield is almost a given. It's just a first level spell, takes mana. They're trying to say that you can have these other ones for free as a cantrip reaction versus spending the 1 mana point or 1 spell slot.
Well, let's focus just on these 2 first. So, do we have consensus on resistance and or guidance as a reaction? Do we say yay, nay, maybe, play tested?
Yay.
What?
Play test it.
Play test.
To both of them?
Wow.
Resistance for certain.
If you make guidance as a reaction, if you make guidance as a reaction, how does that affect it out of combat? Is it still usable the same way that it's usable out of combat?
I mean, the big thing to me is you get to use it, I guess, technically after someone makes an ability check, right? Whereas guidance, you got to pick someone ahead of time, right?
Yeah, but you also would have to be able. You'd have to be able to touch them, so you'd never use guidance in combat as a reaction on somebody else. Because you're a caster. It's unlikely that you're standing beside somebody. You're only ever going to use it on yourself.
You would use it as a reaction to escape a grapple. You would use it as a reaction to prevent yourself from falling off a cliff if you had an enemy push you and you gave them an opportunity to grab on the cliff.
But you'd use it on yourself. You'd never use it on anybody else.
Ever.
And it's a touch spell, right? So the whole point of it is that it could be used on anybody. I see guidance as a helper for social situations.
Agreed.
For your skill test.
Non-combat.
Right. Because it's exactly, Don.
Okay, so we're saying no or yes to guidance as a reaction because
No.
I've heard both sides of it.
Let's play with it as a reaction, but we're going to find that it's never going to get used that.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah, it really doesn't hurt anything.
We can play test it. It doesn't matter if you say yes to that. We're going to find at the end of the arc that it didn't get used for that.
Okay,
Brian, if you're going to do that, you should add Blade Ward. You should add True Strike. You should, a couple of these.
I don't want to go nuts with this. I want to take a couple things. Let's play test it. I don't want to muddy the waters with opening up the book for everything. So that's why I only pick these. I see where you're going with it, but that's only wanted to pick 2 because I don't want to go too overboard with too many changes. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So is that a yes to play test resistance of reaction as well? Or do you guys have strong opinions?
Nope. Do it. Play it too. We'll see how it goes.
I don't think
I
anybody's-
agree. It's not going to make a difference.
I don't think it's going to be. Well, it's not going to be overpowered for sure.
Okay. Next bullet point: aid, temporary HP to the entire party. I tweaked that to say up to 7 targets because your
Aid
party.
is one of my favorite spells. I think Rob would agree. This makes it even more must-have if you're a character that can get aid spell.
Does that mean you think it's overpowered to do this?
No, I think that I agree with Rand. I think that the point of aid is that it helps your entire party, and if we're running a party of more than 5, it seems nice to allow it to hit more than 5 targets.
Is that what aid is as written? It's 5 people or 5 targets?
I think it's 3.
Yeah, I thought it was less than 5.
So the idea here is like, anytime I can choose aid, I will. It's going to actually get people off. So if someone's like having to roll death saving throws, and then another guy drops.
Hold on, it's temporary HP, right? It's not HP.
No, it is not temporary HP. It is
Okay.
HP.
So maybe that's what I didn't actually.
It actually changes your maximum, doesn't it, Rand?
Yep.
It actually ups your maximum by 1 point or 3 points or whatever it is.
I just wonder why I
For
put the word
temporarily.
temp in there.
So I would get rid of this if it's going to screw with aid as it is, because aid is such a wonderful, great spell that can pull up 3 party members who have dropped to the ground and get them back on their feet. I definitely don't want temp hit points as the alternative, even if it's for 7 people.
That also makes me wonder if they change the spell in 1D&D to be temporary hit points instead of what it is now.
Maybe
Otherwise, why would I put temp HP in there?
Dude, anybody who can choose aid should choose aid. It's the right thing to do for your party if you have that spell. If you can cast it, take it.
But now the question is whether it's temp or not.
It's
And whether-
definitely not in normal 5e. It's not temporary.
I know it's not. This is 1D&D stuff that I popped in here, and I should have copied over the age spell. I just didn't click when I put the notes in here that temp HP was also a change.
Oh, no worries.
Let me go look. Let's see if I can still find that.
They might have
On the
thought
internet.
aid was too powerful because truthfully, it's just awesome. It's basically healing word times 3. Remember how Corum, my bard, always scraped people off the ground? He did it with healing word if it was 1 person, and aid if it was 2 or more. That's just the way to play a bard.
Yeah, and it increases everybody that is targeted with it. It gives them 5 hit points added to their maximum for 8 hours.
And it boosts their current hit points by 5 as well, I believe.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. It gives you 5 more and ups it. So we tend to use it as a pick people up when they're dead because it's a great range spell for that. But the other way to use it is to pre-cast it on people and make 3 people in your party have 5 more hit points when they start the encounter.
And not just temporary hit points, but ones that could be restored.
5 actual hit points. Yeah. Ones that could be healed for the next 8 hours.
Yep.
All right, so I'm copying over what I found that 1D&D says. I'll put it in Discord. And that is the change. It was temporary hit points. I just put it in Discord.
Next 2, I think, are awesome. Even if I'm not playing rogue. Oh, see, yeah, screw 1D&D. They messed with one of our favorite spells. 1D&D sucks balls. Seriously, aid is like if a ranger can get it, he gets it. If a bard can get it, he gets it. If a cleric can get it, he gets it. If a druid can get it, he gets it. It's just one of those spells that's that good. So the fact that they realized it was that good and everybody just kind of took it, so they screwed with it. Nobody's going to do this. There's so many classes now that they've made that give temporary hit points. I mean, you could take a leadership feat. Remember Victor, how he would sit there and go, "All right, everybody, come on, get pumped." And everybody would get 14 hit points. Would you seriously cast this level 2 spell for 5 hit points if Victor can give 14? No, it's the dumbest thing in the entire world. I think that is huge loss.
So are we saying we're going back to the way 8 is in 5e?
I would leave aid untouched. Would be my recommendation.
I agree
Any-
with that too. 8 should not be touched. It works the way it is.
And it's
All right,
beautiful. But here's the thing. We haven't seen aid cast a lot, but it's just that party security blanket, if you would.
Okay, I've marked it as no. Next bullet point. Let me save this.
All bark
Is
skin.
Barkskin playtest. This one I did copy over.
That one is great. That is a great change because that was the most worthless spell in 5e.
Touch one willing creature protected with regenerating bark. Until the spell ends, the target skin assumes a bark-like appearance, and at the start of each of the target's turns, target gains a temporary hit points. Was it concentration before? Let's go look that up now.
You know what? I didn't realize this, but no, it was not concentration before, to my knowledge. But maybe it was.
Yeah, but that makes sense if it's going to be a reoccurring thing that it should be concentration.
I agree.
Let's go look at barkskin as is.
I think
Nope.
in fact
It was concentration before.
Yeah. All right. So before was like the worst spell in the game. This is still a really bad spell. I'm not going to say that this.
That it was the worst spell in the game. It's just druids had other things to cast, right? But the whole point of this spell was to give a druid an AC of 16 that they otherwise wouldn't necessarily be able to have because they're not allowed to wear metal.
But almost all druids are going to have at least, like, and I think it was like 15, right? And almost all druids are going to have at least, like, with hide plus a 2 dexterity or something, like 14. So it was like +1 AC, required concentration, and was just dumb as shit. At least this, giving hit points every level, I still think it's weak, and I still think it's stupid to do. But it's almost enough hit points that it makes more sense, like as a boosted heroism spell, which gave temporary hit points. I think that this is still a great change to a horrific spell that they had in 5e. But it still sucks.
Okay. How's the rest of the group feel?
Don't care.
So does that mean we want to place test it? Leave it out? Leave it as is?
You can play test it, but nobody's going to take the spell anyway because we don't have any characters that would take barkskin. It's a ranger and a druid spell only.
No, if no one's going to take it, I'm just going to mark it as no then.
Might as well mark it as no because we don't even have any classes that can take it.
Yeah.
Well, I would mark it as yes, but just there's no one to test it right now. Brian, it's still immensely better than it was, but I still think it's a shit spell.
All right, I'm marking as yes then. If no one uses it, no one uses it.
Ranger or a druid, and they can actually say, "Oh, I might be able to actually cast this," and who knows, maybe it'll work for them.
Okay. All right.
Maybe it'll
Now
save Brand's life.
Yeah. See.
Okay, now we can get into a heated debate. Spirit weapon requiring concentration.
No.
So I'll go with what the group says. Let me just put it out there. So if I don't ever do this, that's why it probably never happens. So if I had a cleric or 2 or 3, and they cast spirit weapon from a shelf or a ledge down on you guys, there's nothing you can do to stop it. I can't attack it because it doesn't have hit points. I don't have to concentrate on it. They can just sit there and wail on you
I could
forever.
cast dispel magic on it.
That is true.
You can go up there and kill that cleric really quick.
You could. But I'm just letting you see it from the DM standpoint. When you guys cast spirit weapon, I can't do anything about it. Usually. Because I have dumb monsters. Again, that's my fault, not yours. That don't know who cast it. I even had myself roll the past few times on whether or not they were so stupid they would keep attacking, even though they can't damage it.
Brian, if spirit weapon required concentration, it would need to be a level 1 spell, in my opinion.
Spirit weapon would never get cast if it was a concentration weapon because a concentration spell because a cleric wants to use other concentration spells instead.
They're going to do Shield of Faith. They're going to do Bless. They're going to do anything else will trump this spell. This was the only thing giving clerics a slight edge up with their single melee attack. This was their second melee attack at level 5, more or less.
This was their ability to swing a sword. So you say that that you can't do anything against the weapon that's smacking you, but you can't do anything against the sword that's smacking you that's in the hands of the fighter either, except smack the fighter.
Right. That's the spirit weapon. The fighter's not there in front of me. It's fine. Because I didn't think I was gonna win this one.
Is it a 1D&D thing?
Yeah, it is.
Oh my god.
Again, 1D&D is not finalized, just like the whole OGL thing. So don't shoot the messenger. Okay.
Yeah, but Outlook not so good so far.
All right. I marked it as no. We're not going to require concentration on that. Okay. Next bullet point is the 1D&D thing on light weapon properties.
This is also titled "How to Give a Rogue a Second Attack."
Yes, I actually do really like this one. I think this is much
Hold on.
needed.
Pause for a second, Rand. So, Gary or Herbert, Rich, can you guys still not see?
Yeah, I can't get into. I can't open anything.
What the hell, man?
It's crazy. I can open the social contract, no problem. I can also on the Sly Flourish encounter, no problem. I open the Master Index of Handouts. I can't open it anymore. When I do open it, if I select something, I get nothing.
You're not like exporting them into a window outside of. Okay.
Just trying to open them in there. So,
Well, for you, Gary, let me copy in.
Rand did already.
Property playtest.
Rand did.
Oh, okay. Well, it's in there twice now.
So this is for rogues. Rob was right. There's no other character that benefits anywhere close to what rogues are going to benefit from this.
What's any 2-weapon fighter?
You're right, but
Yeah, but nobody else. How many of them take light weapons becomes the question, right? Just rogues and rangers.
Well, there is one other. I mean, what initially appealed to me is my first character ever in D&D was a ranger. My second one was a 2-weapon fighter, and I took the 2-weapon fighting feat, which means that my weapons don't have to be light, but I still get to use them. So in this scenario, I would say, okay, if you take that feat, I've got 2 battle axes, and I still get this feature because that's what 2-weapon fighting lets you do.
You can do it, but here's the thing, Brian. So this doesn't say so this is taking that extra offhand attack, and it's making it part of your attack action.
Yeah. So which means you still get the offhand attack later,
right?
Well,
as bonus action.
It doesn't say you do or not.
It doesn't say you don't, but this isn't called 2-handed fighting.
Right.
This is a weapon property. This is a weapon property of light, which means that I take my dueling scimitars, and according to this, I do during my action a smack A and a smack A, and then according to the 2-weapon fighting action, I also get to use my bonus action for another offhand attack without the proficiency going to my damage. I can make 3 attacks here if you're doing 2-weapon fighting.
Right.
All right. So I was wrong. I posted up there before that I thought it was that it took the place of the bonus action attack.
No.
I thought that it moved the bonus action attack into the attack action, which I completely agree with. I think that if this said move the bonus action offhand attack into the attack action, then it would be completely appropriate for 5e, would really fit in with a rogue, would not benefit a fighter, would not benefit most other martial melee classes. And I think it would be much more balanced. I think it should stay in place of the bonus action attack with the offhand. If it said that somewhere in here, it would be balanced.
Well, it says you take the extra attack as part of that same action.
Right, but I have a question for that, Rand, because Gary's rogue right now, if he has 2 light weapons in his hands, he could attack twice in a turn.
You're right, but the second offhand attack uses his bonus action, which cuts down on half of his rogue abilities for dash, disengage.
No, you're absolutely right. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And that's why this light weapon property could then allow somebody, a rogue, to be able to do 2 attacks and still have their bonus action for other stuff.
Correct.
Now the ranger, on the other hand, Driz Jordan, is now going to have attack. Now he's probably got 2 weapon fighting, but that's beside the point.
He'll have 4
Attack, and then another attack.
Yeah, he'll have 4 attacks by level 5.
No, he wouldn't.
Well, 3.
Oh, yeah,
he would have 4.
You can only do this light weapon property once per turn.
Yeah, but he has 2 attacks in a turn. So he would be able to do light weapon property 2 attacks, then his second attack that he gets on his attack action, and then his bonus action offhand attack that he gets to do.
And
So
4 attacks at level 5.
At level 5. And it doesn't work at level 1, getting a fighter getting 3 attacks.
Wow.
What works is a rogue getting 2 attacks and getting to use his cunning action. So the missing component in this is where it says in lieu of a bonus action weapon attack with your offhand. If it said that, this would be perfect.
Well, I'm saying right now that you still have your bonus action when you do this.
You still get your bonus action, but you don't get to use a bonus action offhand attack with your offhand weapon. Does that make sense?
I disagree.
Really?
So I have a short sword in each hand.
Okay.
This right here allows me to attack with both of them. 1 attack action.
Level 1.
I think the way this is written, Rand, is that's totally how it is. It doesn't say anything about the fact that it's moving that second attack from your bonus action to your action. This says that the way that this written, a ranger at level 5 gets 4 attacks. 2 attacks, the damage will be full damage with a full modifier, and 2 attacks, the damage will be without the dexterity bonus to that damage. But
this
it's 4
could be
attacks
the
for
thing
sure.
to finally correct what was an imbalance of the 2 weapon play style that we've had for 5e this whole time. I don't know.
It basically makes a person with 2 short swords just as dangerous as a person with a great sword.
Wait,
Well,
would a rapier work for that as a light weapon?
It would if you took the feet, Gary. You could have 2
Wait.
rapiers.
I have
You
2
could do it
feet,
in 2
so I'll take the feet.
It's not a feat; it's a weapon. Oh, I see. No, a rapier is a light weapon.
No, rapier's not a light weapon. It's a finesse weapon. So you have to.
Yeah, there's a difference.
Oh,
use
yeah.
2 short swords, Gary.
Yeah.
Which would be 2d6 or whatever. But what we're trying to say is, I thought that what they were intending to do would boost the rogue, but not boost the ranger and the fighter so much. I feel like if it boosts the other martial classes that much, it's probably still on par with a wizard or something, but it doesn't help the rogue any.
So I can't use a rapier, which is a one-handed weapon, and a dagger, and get this feat. I'd have to use 2 daggers or a short sword and a dagger.
Just think 2 short swords. Both of those are light and finesse.
Take two scimitars.
Yeah, 2 scimitars, 2 short swords. Something.
2 hand axes. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I've got a +1 dagger.
Well,
So you're saying yes?
Yeah, I want this.
Well, let's give it a try. If you think if it ends up being overpowered, then you're going to nerf it.
Well, nobody's going to have it right now because you'd have to kind of build into it. And I'm not going to be the guy that makes it ridiculous.
All right, I'm marking it down as playtest yes.
How come you're going to have to build into it, Rand?
Well, I'm saying like let's say you were I guess not if you're doing like the feet swap or whatever, but a fighter.
Yeah, there's no feat or anything required to do what this is that requires.
No. But to make it even more functional, you'd want 2 weapon fighting, right? So that way you get to add your attack, your damage to the offhand attack.
I would argue that, Rand. I mean,
I don't think you need to. I mean, if you want the extra +4 on 2 of those 4 attacks as a ranger, then sure. But if you don't, if you're happy with the regular damage from the weapon, you still get the 1d6 from the short sword twice.
That's 10 damage around. That's ridiculously.
Unless you, but that's the reason why feats are always a hard choice.
Well,
Do I
that's
want the extra? Do I want the extra 8 or 10 for the 8 or 10 for the damage for the round, or do I want the extra? I don't know what the sharpshooter bonus
right?
or the.
I want to do this for Gary's Rogue because I think that that's where we're going to see it actually used the way it's intended. But if we get somebody else who's going to make a 2-weapon fighter with choosing that and get 4 attacks at level 5, I think you're going to say, wait a minute, this is screwed up.
I'd like to see it though to know.
I agree.
Like I want to use sneak attack with 2 daggers and come up and pokey.
Well, you can only sneak attack once per
Yeah.
per turn,
Oh, for sure.
but you still get to do 2.
But it's nice to get them 2 attacks instead of just the one little pokey. I want to pokey.
You're getting 2 attacks now with your bonus action, but this will allow you to actually use your rogue bonus action for your rogue stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So you could poke, hide. That's cool. You
Or
could
poke.
move, hide. You could poke, disengage, run.
Yeah.
You could, or you could, like you said, poke. You're a rogue at level 4 who gets 3 attacks around.
Sweet.
Okay.
And
All right,
when
so
we
this-
talk about the ranger, they then have the favored foe that they get that once per round extra damage.
Or Hunter's Mark, where you're adding a 1d6 to every attack, and now you're doing.
Well,
All right,
that's
regardless, we're
that's
saying
fair.
yes to this, is what I'm hearing,
Yeah.
right? Okay.
Yeah, let's do it.
A resounding yes.
Okay. All right. So let me go through the house rule section, mainly for Rich, since he hasn't played with us that much in the arc, and see if there's something else here that jumps out that we haven't covered. Rich, are you aware of the Unearthed Arcana feats? We're in the house rules section now, if you're following along at home. You still with us, Rich?
I fixed everything. I can open everything now.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, I'm back now.
Okay. So under house rules, probably about a third of the way down, there's Unearthed Arcana feats. That's something everyone gets to start off with. You can choose one from feats for races or one from feats for skills. Make sure these links work for you. Because I had to add these PDFs because I originally had links to them on WotC's website, but they moved them. So I had to create PDF. Just make sure they work for you. But if you haven't chosen one of those as a starter feat, everyone gets one of those, Rich.
Okay.
Okay.
Access things work.
Okay. And this arc, just like last one, we're doing the more feats feature. You can add a feat at levels 4, 8, 12, and 16. These levels represent overall levels. That's in addition to your normal ASI. So you guys are going to be all powerful.
Holy crap, that's awesome.
So if you
Wow.
guys didn't do that when you leveled up to 4, you're welcome. You also get a feat along with your ASI.
Cool.
Okay, but feats are limited to 4, 8, 12, and 16, not just when you get ASIs, because I think fighters get one like every 2 levels, I think. The ASIs, not the feats.
They get feats.
It may not be every 2, but it's a lot they get.
Yeah.
Okay. Critical hits, same as last time. We're going to roll for the extra damage, max base damage. I've even put extra damage at the sneak attack or smite damage. It's not automatic max, but it is rolled. Okay. Any questions on that?
No.
Okay. Flanking is allowed, always has been, probably always will be.
I love flanking, man. Thank you.
Okay. Lingering injuries, that's the same as always is. Rich, did you see this at all playing with this yet? Or when you do a death save, if you roll 1 through 5, you have to roll in this lingering injury table. Have you seen that yet, Rich?
I do recall that. Yeah.
Okay. So that's something we play with. Doesn't come up very often. Most of the time, it's nothing major. I think I've only had maybe 3 instances where someone had a limb cut off. Let's see. Inspiration deck. You're familiar with that, right, Rich?
Yes.
The cards? Okay. Code effects. I'm not worried about that. That was mainly the first item. I'm scrolling. Blacksmithing. Just look at this when you guys get a chance. It affects adamantine and mithril armor and weapons. I've added that homebrew thing to it. So an adamantine armor per DMG is slightly different than what I do in my homebrew. Same thing for mithril. It's something you can basically enhance the properties of your armor, if you find that. And that is in my magic item table, both adamantine and mithril armor, along with dragon scale. Okay. Herbalism, that was something I added like a long time ago, mainly for Don, back when he was Druid in campaign 1, but I don't think anyone ever used it. I'm not sure if Don really ever used it.
Nope.
Okay. It was just another method of foraging and making potions if you took the herbalism skill. Okay. And healing potions, like always, an action, you get full max of the potion. If you use a bonus action to drink a healing potion, you have to roll for it. If you got to pour it down someone else's throat, that's an action. And the unconscious PC, I put it in here, the unconscious PC rolls for it. I don't really care whether it's him or the other person giving it, just the first one who rolls it. That's what it is. Okay. And sinking probably won't ever come up in this campaign. If it does, we'll cover that again.
About?
I'm sorry?
We don't do a lot of sinking.
Yeah.
Hey,
And Monster
guys,
Hunters, you do.
I'll be right back. I gotta take care of something.
Okay. I think I'm about to wrap up, unless you guys now have questions, comments, complaints.
How do we add the weapon options to our character sheets?
Let's see here. Drop your character onto the tabletop here. And it should be, when you click on your token, there should be a thing that says weapon options. Care if I add that to you guys or just on my NPCs?
Not seeing it. Would that be up in the top left?
1 second. Where are you? Oh, I see Growler. Let me click on you. Okay, I may have not added it into this one.
Yeah, because you'd have to know what we were electing, right?
Okay, 1 second. Let me go back and look at my other campaign if I still have it open and see if that's something that's working there. It's possible I didn't carry that over into. Oh, I know I did. Hold on a minute. I think I know what it is. I got to turn it on where you guys have option. You can see it. Hold, please. Weapon options. There we go. Visible to players. All players. Save changes. All right. Click off of your token. Oh, it'll help if I'm in the right freaking game when I do that. Let's do that again. Weapon options. Scroll down. Visible to all players. Save changes. All right, now click off your token and back on it again. Do you see weapon options now show up as a token action?
No.
At the top left?
Should be.
I got abilities, healing potion, initiative, saves, and skills.
Well, maybe you
Same.
got to refresh. 1 second. Let me check it before you do that. Oh, there you go. Shows a token action, Brian. Duh.
Hey, weapon option.
Now, that's going to show you everything. Now, if you pick one, I'll help you kind of add it as a attribute and ability, so it's just on your token. You don't have to click through all this stuff.
Okay.
I can help you with that, but this will basically show you the entire menu of all the weapon options. Okay.
What's it supposed to do?
Well,
Like
when
I
you,
just clicked on Greatsword and it just put Greatsword.
well, now there should be more options under Greatsword, right?
No, there's nothing.
Oh, I see a bunch of shit that's not set up correctly. This is why
For
we
the
have session
tables.
0.
Might not have transferred the tables over, Brian.
All right, I got to go through and check. Damn it. Great weapon. Great sword.
I want to talk to you about this herbalism business.
That's weird. I click on Great Sword and it works. I may have to open that one up to everybody.
Yeah, then it's a permissions thing.
Slug needs to go shopping for a short sword.
Yeah, visible to players. All right, I got to go through. Okay, try Great Sword again. Ron, I click off and back on again. See if it works for you now. I got to see what actual section I got to turn on for you to be able to do it.
Great sword. Hey, look at that.
Okay, yeah, I got to go through
Wow.
every single one of these and
Yeah.
update them.
And I got the next option, but not the result.
Yeah, I got to go through and update the permissions, and I'll make myself a note. This is going to take me like half an hour. Update weapon option access for all. But if you want to see what exactly those things do, again, if you go into Master Index of Handouts, there's probably a handout for weapon and spell options, and it'll explain what every single one of those do.
Yeah.
If you pick
got
one,
that
just
open.
let me know, and then I can, like I said, I can create it where it's a specific token just for you for that thing. You don't have to go through this whole menu. Okay.
Cool. Well, short sword.
Yeah, I got to update everything, so nothing's going to work for you right now.
Cool. So I want to go buy 2 short swords.
Okay.
I want them to glow when there's an orc nearby, though.
Well, you have to find that sword. Okay. One other topic I want to talk to you guys about, the sidekicks. Now, what I've done in the past, there's 3 basic types of sidekicks that D&D, I guess, that's what I use for templates. Let's see if I can share them with you guys.
Sorry,
so you
guys.
can see them. I don't know how much detail this will show with you guys, but that's an expert. And there's a spellcaster type.
Brian, are there any within the module itself? Are there any NPCs that we interact with that could become, in some way, shape, or form, sidekicks?
Yeah, that's what I've done in the past.
Yeah, you don't need to answer that question specifically, of course. But if there are characters, then I'd rather not have them at the beginning. I'd like to come upon them.
Okay.
Now, the hard part of that will be if in our very first session, only 3 players can play.
Right. And these sidekicks will be like last time, they'll be drop in, drop out. I'm okay with that. They don't have to fit into the whole storyline. But yeah, I agree with you. Now, there's going to be certain NPCs that you just can't take with you because of plot reasons. But yeah, if there's an NPC someone falls in love with and you guys want to make it a sidekick, just talk to me, ask me, and I'll let you know whether that's doable or not.
One with the craziest voice, Brian.
So that was going to be the second part of this. If you guys want to just randomly roll for shit to see what kind of a sidekick you get, race, you only got these 3 different classes out there, or just kind of let it organically happen as the art goes along.
I think let it happen.
I'm a fan of the organic option.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Okay. Now, just for preparation reasons, I'll probably create at least 1, maybe 2, until you guys find someone that you like. That way, I've just got something in my back pocket in case we don't have a full group.
Yeah.
Got it.
Okay.
For the first few sessions.
Right now, I was really surprised with how well-rounded this party is. What was Kev?
Bard.
That fit perfectly. It's kind of your gish.
College of Creation Bard.
Okay.
Oh, he was creation too. I thought that was your bard.
No, he was creation too because he would give people the inspiration and then they would get to it would do something bonusy extra. He was a College of Creation before I was. I didn't realize that's what he was until after I created the Monster Hunter College of Creation Bard, and then he said something in game, and I went, "Oh, that's where I got that from."
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see what else I want to share. So this is meta knowledge, but you'll eventually learn it. So Underspire Labyrinth is basically the hub of it is that 7-pillared hall like I talked to you about. That's like the central town, if you want to call it that, that's under the mountain. And from there, there's like one main way in, and there's all these offshoots everywhere that hasn't really been what's the word I'm looking for? Hasn't been cleared out, hasn't been under the control of the mages. So there's one safe area in the middle, and everything else is just sprawls out everywhere. So this will take place primarily underground. I mean, there's a few opportunities I recall from reading where you may see daylight, but it's all going to be underground.
Sorry, that's what the module is, all going to be underground? Because I'm considering this herbalism business, but if we're going to be underground, I don't know how much that's going to help me, Brian.
Well, there are mushrooms and other stuff that's growing and glowing in the Underdark.
Okay, I'd like to have a conversation with you about herbalism.
Okay. All right. Okay. I'm sure there's something I'm forgetting. Oh, what's this? Starting the adventure. I don't know if that's actually something I cover now or that's session 1. Well, everybody's still here, right? That's going to be playing?
Present.
Huh?
Row.
Okay, so for the most, I guess let's talk about how Rand's character gets incorporated into this. This is metagame knowledge or DM talk. Would you guys go? Okay, so would you guys rather me figure out a way to tie him in so you guys meet in Kront? Or we make him like the first guy you meet on the road to Underspire Labyrinth? What do you guys think? Throw some stuff at me.
Well, you had talked about sort of us talking about what we're doing in the meantime, because we don't really know. Have you decided, Brian, how much time between Arc 1 and Arc 2? Like, are we talking a week? Are we talking a month? What are we talking about?
I left that open because I wasn't sure what you guys wanted to do with your characters. So I haven't defined that. And what makes sense to you guys?
I could be a guy at the tavern who's expressing interest to like get out there and travel to, if we're going to the Abyss or wherever it's at, you know.
Now I will tell you, Rand, that when Anthony was originally going to be part of this arc session, there is encounter 1 that's actually in a module where they meet their first NPC, and he's kind of somewhat important. And I was going to make Anthony that because NPC, but I changed it up to match his character. If you want to be introduced that way, but if you prefer to be, the traditional, you guys met in a tavern and for whatever reason they decide to ask you to come along. You and I can still work on more of a tie-in if we want. It's up to you or the group.
I'm very much okay with both. So group.
Maybe Splug met you through a Kijiji ad. You were selling some +2 short swords.
That weren't really +2. They were really only they were -2 actually.
That's right, because it's Kijiji, so it's a scam.
Well, let's set this up then. So are you pretty much set under being a, would you say, shield dwarf? Battle mage?
Battle mage. Yep.
I knew you'd like that class, Rand.
Oh my God, I love it.
Okay,
I think it's going to be great. I think it has some weird kind of
it does
holes, but that's okay. I'll figure it out.
So I'm assuming you have that template open. So remind me, I think Rothmari are enemies of Rashomon, or are they like Rothmari are the ancestors of the Rashomon? Do you see that in the lore anywhere?
Campaign.
I thought they were the helper fighters of the Rashomon.
So I remember there was the Rothmari and the Narfell, I think, were the two that fought, and Rashomon was also someone that was hostile to Narfell for a while. I just can't remember if Rothmari was an offshoot or something totally different.
I'm seeing 0 lore. Rothmari were battle mages of his old an order of sorcerers who mastered an innate connection to the principles of war and art of combat. The very heat of battle ran in their blood, and through intense focus and constant practice, they managed to become some of the most fearsome warriors and spellcasters in all Faerun. Their bloodlines still linger today. Those that seek out the teachings of the Rothmari battle mages can revive their legacy once more, becoming a living embodiment of sword and spell. But it does not talk about any interaction between the Rothmari and the other.
1 second. I'll pull up the actual campaign guide if I can find it here. Remember where I put it.
Am I saying it right? Ramathari?
Ramathari?
I
Or is
don't
it
know.
Or is it Rothamari?
No, it's
Can't
the
remember
M's
RH.
first.
Ramathari.
I'm guessing just like you are, if that's how it's said.
Ramasiri?
I have to go listen to
Ramathari.
an old school Audible on one of the books in that area to get it right.
How do you know they're right?
I don't. That's
Right?
just the point.
Oh.
Yeah, I guess I'm curious about kind of their legacy and where they came from and kind of where I would be kind of from and things like that. But we can talk about that between sessions.
Well, I'm going to pull up the PDF here of everything, except now Explorer just said, "No, you are not."
It really is. It's
So-
like a
So
hex
Brian,
blade
I'm
singer.
on the Forgotten Realms fandom page. These battle mages considered themselves to be the enemies of ancient Narfel and the demonic forces with which they cavorted.
Sweet.
So I'll go ahead and say now, unless I see something otherwise, saying that Rashomon is probably where you're from, that area, across Lake Milsantir, from where you guys are now in Kront. But Rashomon and Narfel are no longer, I mean, they're not going to be like crazy about each other, but they're not in war. They're not like going to break out in a fight when they see one or try to kill one. It's not that bad.
But
But
ancient Ranathar was an empire that rose and fell over 1,000 years before 14th century DR. So
all right, so I thought they're like the ancestors of the Rashomon.
that's what it sounds like they are.
Okay. So the reason I'm saying that because typically in Rashomon culture, and this may or may not be in your thing, when someone like becomes of age, so to speak, whether like 18 or 15, I don't know what it is, they would send most Rashomon, I guess, adults off on something. It's called a Dejima. It's basically like a quest to go broaden their horizons, their knowledge, and then bring that back to their village, their encampment, their clan, to help, I guess, that clan prosper and learn more. So that could be part of the reason why you're away from Rashomon, or you can come up with something totally different. It's completely up to you. But just kind of help fill in the gap of the lore stuff here as to why you might be in this area. And for that matter, I mean, that could be a reason why you went to Underspire to learn more about that. Since Underspire is not exactly, it's kind of like, it's the
Like
Oh.
Rumspringa, right?
it's like, well, I don't know how many you got. When I went to China for work, there was this mall that they sold all the normal stuff. But if you knew somebody, then you went up some stairs and through a couple doors and you found the black market stuff. That's what Underspire Labyrinth, the 7-pillared hall, is like. Not everybody knows about it. Some people know about it, but don't know where it is or want to get involved with it. So it's kind of like that.
Like the Amish go out and they like drink and do drugs and shit.
Yeah, exactly like that. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm serious. That's what they do. I live in Michigan. We have a lot of Amish.
Dude, I haven't told you a story. So, sorry, side tangent here. So we went and looked at some equipment in Elkhart, Indiana. Basically like Amish Central, evidently. We went to 3 different factories, and I bet you like 85% of the workforce was all Amish. And I have never
for the best.
I have never seen so many people just hauling ass all freaking day. Oh my gosh, they work so freaking hard and fast. I think like all 3 of them are piece rate. So they told me that they come in at 5 and they met their quota by 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, and they would go home. And they were averaging like $32 an hour for like the average guy on the shop floor. It was
Wow.
nuts. But my ops manager was there. We're both sitting with our mouths open. It's like, holy shit. Can you imagine if our guys actually worked, like a quarter of this hard?
Dude, it's insane. I mean, they really do. Like Chelsea Lumber, a competitor of ours. In fact, Jeff Daniels, Dumb and Dumber and a bunch of other things. If you're familiar with the comedian Jeff Daniels.
Yep.
His family owns Chelsea Lumber, which is a competitor of ours, in Chelsea, Michigan. And what has made them start to really establish themselves as a competitor of ours is they're very much in with the Amish community, and they are utilizing their labor resource to work for national home builders such as Toll Brothers to like, I mean, they can provide amazing prices, and you've seen it. You don't even have to give a discount on the labor because they work 4 times as hard, right?
Yeah.
It's just that it gets done in such a way that it just works, man.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like we missed out.
We have the Hutterites here and the colonies. And when I was in roofing, we couldn't compete with metal roofing, like sheet metal roofing, because they had their own brakes and their own rollers. And for what I could get it for, they could make it and install it.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
And install it. So their install quote was less usually than what my material quote was on a job. So when I found out, if the Hutterites were bidding, we didn't even bid.
Are you recording? You're making sure you're recording this, right, Brian?
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I started down this rabbit hole, so I apologize. So
On target.
is there anything else we want to talk about on this session 0?
Nope. I'm good. I'm pumped.
What kind of drugs are they doing?
It's clean living,
kidding.
man.
Just kidding. Just kidding.
Other recreational drugs. That's what it says on the Rumspringer Wikipedia, Don. You wanna look. You can watch. There's Netflix specials on when their teenagers go off to like experience the world. It's fun.
Yeah, I'm familiar
So
with that. So, but yeah,
let me set you guys up for the start of this this arc, and then I'll cut the recording at that point. So whether we meet your character in Kront or along the way, we'll kind of set you guys up on this journey, and whether it's a week or a month, I'll let you guys decide that between sessions, how long you want to take. But the journey from Kront to the entrance to Underspire Labyrinth is about 3 or 4 days journey. Once if you were in Jas, it's about a day. If you guys remember the map, here, let me show that to you. Maybe you guys don't care, but maybe this will help. That would help if I had my Codelands map in here. So I guess I won't show you. So 3 or 4 days away is what you are. Dirt cobblestone path leads east off the cold road and passes by through the town of Boonvale. Path curves north a few miles past Boonvale and ascends a narrow valley within the Furward Mountain Range. Furward Mountain Range was a mountain range just kind of south of Bildubaris, for those who remember that area. The cobblestone path leads into the Minotaur Gate. It says read and then show the Minotaur Gate handout. Ooh, we get artwork. The journey from the cold road to the Minotaur Gate passes through a narrow valley and several switchback valleys for about 12 miles. This was once the grand entrance to Sarun Kel. The road enters a 50-foot tall stone archway hewn out of the mountainside. A towering Minotaur statue stands on each side of the entrance, glowering down at travelers. A swirling thunderhead of black clouds, rumbling thunder, and bright flashes of lightning obscure the peak of the mountain that rises into the sky above the gate. And now I can show the players. There's some maybe neat artwork. That is what the entrance looks like. I think you can see silhouettes of some people towards the bottom of that picture to kind of give you the scale of how that looks like.
Ooh, that's spooky.
Okay, and then there's the Road of Lanterns.
Do we expect there to be a lot of Minotaurs there?
Again, based on that Val threw in the, I forget what his little nickname was. Research he done. They don't think there's any Minotaurs there, but this is a place where creatures from the Underark come to trade. So if some of those Minotaurs have, I don't know, calmed down, lost their fury instinct, whatever, there might be some. The big thing is that all the mages, I guess, basically operate and control these bronze wardens, which are basically Minotaurs made out of like bronze, like constructs. That's the one thing that's for sure in this area, and those are the ones that kind of keep the peace and the order. And they are meta knowledge, very tough. Don't pick a fight with them. Not until you're like several more levels higher. Okay. Beyond the Minotaur Gate, the Road of Lanterns slopes into the mountain. Green light from copper lanterns dimly illuminate the road, which leads into the mountain, sloping steadily downward over several switchbacks. The road is brick vaulted, 30 feet wide and 30 feet tall at its apex. Demon statues each over 10 feet tall, stand watch along the corridor's length. The copper lanterns are effectively ever-burning torches. They're spaced every 100 feet, so it's possible to see the next one along the road, and the lanterns are socketed into the brick walls. And I think that's where I'll stop, and we'll pick up from there in the next session. So,
Sweet.
meta-knowledge Rand coming up is their first encounter along this road of lanterns, and that's where I originally had them meeting Anthony's character. So if that's where you want to introduce yours, you can, or we can retcon that you met him beforehand. We can talk about that offline or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, guys. Go ahead.
Before we left town, would I have been able to finagle some plate from my cousin?
Some plate from your cousin?
Yeah, plate mail.
You took the Acreus, right? The +1 greatsword from Sir Keegan?
I did.
Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. I'm gonna go back to my other module and read. Oh shit, I closed it. All right. I'm gonna say that he had you just want regular plate mail. Is that what you're saying?
Yep. Because he was an
No.
armorer, right?
Right, but there was nobody in that town that could afford plate mail, so he never made a set of plate mail.
Was Keegan buried with plate mail?
Well, you know, ask Grolnar if he wants to steal his armor. That'll work.
As of a dwarf?
Would you like to steal anything off of Grolnar's corpse in that sarcophagus?
Well, Grolnar's not in there. But,
Oh, sorry. Well, right now he's not. If you steal his armor, you might swap places with him.
Yeah, that'd be really dumb to steal out of a sarcophagus. Kind of an idiot would do that. Jeez.
What was the name of that sword?
I think it's AECRIS. I don't know if I'm saying it right now. I just said Acreus. It's like I've added an extra vowel in there, so maybe it's ACREUS.
Acris?
Acreus is what I remember. I've closed that.
AECRIS?
Let's do it like this. I'm making this up because I don't have it open. Let's go with that. That's what he named it.
Acrius. Okay. That's how I would pronounce it, at least.
Well, there you go. It's your sword. You can call it whatever you want. You can call it Ace in the Hole. Aces are us.
What does it call itself with its wisdom and its intelligence score?
Oh, we'll find that out in the next session.
Oh, okay. Just checking. Don't see a lot of sentient swords in Ryan's game. We figure we might be due.
That's one extra voice I've got to do. Come on, guys. I suck. Unless one of you guys want to start having a conversation with yourself, that would be interesting. All right, so I think that's all I got to cover. So unless you guys got questions, I'm going to kill the recording here.
That's so sweet, man. Thank you.
Good.